Chelsea's season has gotten off to a rocky start already, and it looks like things might be difficult for a little while. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And so we've got the Lincoln game tonight. Actually, genuinely still quite excited about the Lincoln game, man. I love a cup game, and like I say, I do love seeing lots of people get new opportunities. Before I go into the main topics of today's video, which some of this is linked actually, I am just going to clear up some of the mistakes that I made in yesterday's video, right? So I made the video, and I've done this a few times before. I made the video before the press conference came out. So there's a couple of things that came out in the press conference that were counter to what I announced, but there was some information that I just categorically missed as well. So those are as follows. Badiashile and Lavia are still not fit, so I put both of them in my starting 11 yesterday, but that's absolutely not going to happen because neither of them are fit. And the main one is Mark Gue is cup tied, and this was absolute news to me, and I looked it up, and apparently I wasn't the only one who hadn't realised this. But by the looks of things, lower teams in the league play different games, don't they? In obviously more games depending on like seeding and this and the other. And it seems like Mark Gue had already played in the League Cup for Sunderland before this. So that's kind of, changed obviously quite a lot as well, because that means we won't be able to use Mark Gue, as far as I'm aware, for the League Cup at all, which starts to only kind of say more like, why didn't he get subbed on in the Man United game? And, but that's a whole other thing. At the end of the day, he's not going to be available for this league game. He will be available for the FA Cup. He's been added to the Champions League squad as well, so we might see him against clubs like Paphos, for instance, and Karabag. But yeah, those were just a couple of mistakes I made in yesterday's video. So just wanted to clean them up because my starting 11 is absolutely impossible, as it seems, because 3 of the players I put in there aren't available. So guys, with that in mind, if you are enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. And fair play to anyone who roasted me yesterday for getting those things wrong, man, because like I say, sometimes I make a video before the press conference comes out, and that's just will be what it'll be. But I did drop the ball on the Mark Gue news, so I will do my absolute best to make sure I am more well knowledged up in future for my match previews. So, what we're going to talk about today, obviously, we've got the Lincoln game tonight. I guess that means we can expect to see Tyreek George probably starting up front. But there's Mueka as well. He's done really well in the academy recently. So maybe this is an opportunity to get some minutes for some other young academy players. But although, as well as that, what I've seen is there's apparently the academy have got quite a big game either tonight or tomorrow as well. So do we cannibalise the academy team in order to get them in the League Cup? Or, the likes of Reggie Walsh and Mueka and Genesis Antwi, all who have been doing really well in the academy. Do we bring those guys into this game because of how thin we are, or do we prioritise their development in the academy team? So that's a difficult one as well. Basically, what all of this is leading on to is I'll drop the big news. You guys have probably already seen it, but Simon Phillips has indicated that it is possible that Cole Palmer will miss 3 to 6 weeks with this groin injury. So supposedly the story that's been going on is he was not feeling comfortable, obviously, for a while. He's been playing with pain injections for a little while, and in the Man United game it looks like he aggravated and caused a new tear. And it's possible that I haven't seen anything about surgery yet, so I don't know if he's, because I imagine he'd be out for longer than 3 to 6 weeks, obviously, if he was going to be getting surgery on it. But it looks like we might be without him for another little while. So injuries are destroying us at the moment, man. Injuries are destroying us. And what this kind of does, I guess, a little bit is I try not to be hyperbolic, do you know what I mean, 100%, but it is starting to highlight some of the issues that we've made in the transfer window with not looking to replace the likes of Levi Colwill, Liam Delap, and bring in that other centre attacker. Obviously, we did bring in Facundo Buonanotte, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the defence is looking really thin, man. So from where we're at the moment, either Disasi plays, but he's not been playing with the team, like training with the team. So as far as I'm aware, he's not even, being considered. But at this point, getting Disasi back training with the team, at least until January, might be something we need to look at doing. And so this comes down to the Maresca thing. Like you guys might remember, if you were following me during the transfer window, I was a massive advocate of keeping hold of Renato Vega. I thought he'd be the perfect substitute for Levi Colwill until we could get him back, and we'd still be able to sell him and make profit in the future. In a situation where our centre-back situation is looking pretty thin, and obviously we were already looking at getting rid of Disasi, Badiashiel's already injured. Wesley Fofana obviously is going to come back in dribs and drabs. Do you know what I mean? For me, keeping hold of a left-footed, good passing Renato Vega who wants to play centre-back seemed like a really good idea. Supposedly, the issue with this is his relationship with Maresca, right? And that's one of the reasons why that was not thought to be possible. And if this is the same with Axel Disasi, then it's just starting to be like, man, do you know, if you need these centre backs, it's like, put your ego aside, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like we literally need players. He literally came out saying, I think it was in the press conference or something since, he was like, oh yeah, I might have to play myself. Do you know what I mean? Making a joke about it because we've got no defenders, which was obviously a veiled, subtle dig at the owners. But at the same time, we had Renato Vega on the books, man. Do you know what I mean? We had Renato Vega, so I can't really back Maresca digging at the ownership for not buying him a centre-back if he wasn't willing to repair his relationship with Renato Vega, who had a 6-year, 7-year contract. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, yes, maybe the player wanted to move, and yes, maybe we would have made some money for him. But if you need a centre-back and you need someone who's left-footed and can pass and this, that and the other, it's like you've got Renato Vega there, man, even if he just came in as a backup option. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I struggle to... Any veiled digs that Maresca might make at the ownership for the centre-back situation in particular, I can't really back. The striker situation, I mean, Maresca didn't actually come out saying we absolutely need to get another striker. There were some talks about people like Conrad Harder and stuff, but obviously we ended up going back with Mark Gue. So it's just a little bit concerning, isn't it? It's like, if we look at, we've got Liverpool, Brighton, Benfica. We've got loads of big games. Do you know what I mean? Really, really important games that we need to win because we need to start picking up momentum soon. Do you know what I mean? This game isn't really going to be the game. I said it before that we start picking up momentum in. Because we're going to play like essentially a B squad and maybe a couple of academy players, and we're not going to be able to use this as one to go forward with. So the Brighton game is really where the momentum's going to have to start, and we're going to have to take that to Benfica and to Liverpool and try and get... I mean, man, if we could be looking at starting to drop down the table soon. And the thing is, like, that in itself isn't necessarily a worry because there are lots of games and places we can pick up points. But as far as mentality goes, if we're only winning 3 games in our first 6 or 7 in the Premier League, like, that's not really a great start, is it? And obviously the loss against Bayern Munich settled into that as well, and whatever happens with Benfica, all of a sudden we might be looking at like the first sort of 10 to 12 games of the season only picking up 3-4 wins. Do you know what I mean? 3-4-5 wins, which isn't really enough if we're looking for a strong Champions League challenge. Like I say, I've never been an advocate of the title challenge, but so injuries, man, like if Cole Palmer's going to be out for a while, Facundo Buonanotte is going to get a lot more game time. Esteval Williams maybe going to get a lot more game time. And I guess eventually we're going to start seeing the likes of Alejandro Garnacho and Jamie Gittins play a little bit more. I worry a little bit about João Pedro if Mark Gue isn't being trusted to get any game time yet. Do you know what I mean? If Tyreek George is... Now, again, this is another thing that is just crazy to me. If Tyreek George was the only option for the Lincoln game because Mark Gue's cup tied, then why isn't Mark Gue being brought on in the Man United game instead of Tyreek George? Do you know what I mean? It's just like... I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, Tyreek George was literally had one foot out the door and isn't looking exactly like his happiest, best self either when he's on the pitch. Do you know what I mean? And we're going to have to see what happens tonight. Because, like I say, unless Mueka gets dragged out of the academy or we start someone like Garnacho up front just to see what happens, then you can almost guarantee that Tyreek George is going to start. The injuries are really starting to pile up, man. Before I was talking about our midfield situation and how sort of worrying that is because as far as deep-lying midfielder goes, Santos is like the only other option other than Caicedo and Fernandes now, and apparently it's been come out, Caicedo's carrying a problem as well. So without Lavia, without Dario Sugo, all of our midfield depth is gone. We can't just keep... I mean, we might literally see tonight Tosin and Chalobah start, by the way, or at least one of them alongside Achiampong, but both of those guys need a rest because they're playing every game at the moment too. Wesley Fofana's going to have to come back in spits and spots. We saw him limp off at the end of the last game. Badiashile still not 100% fit. Maybe we're not even looking at that until October time. Do you know what I mean? Seeing him back. And yeah, man, we've got loads of wingers though. We've got loads of wingers and a couple of left backs, and do you know what I mean? For all this money we've spent and for all of the talk of Chelsea squad depth, like it just seems to be getting decimated at the moment, man. And it just feels like we're picking up an injury every single game, and the problems don't seem to be going away. So I am just a little bit concerned in general about the next month or so, man, because like I say, Liverpool, Benfica, Brighton, like these are all tough games, man. And I sort of looked in on our fixture list, and we haven't got a run of 4 reasonably winnable games until January. Do you know what I mean? Every 3 games, we've got at least one big team where, like, the thing is, I talk about expectation. At the end of the day, you can lose any game at any time, of course you can. But in terms of, okay, you would expect Chelsea to win that game. You would expect Chelsea to win that game. And then there's one game that's like, oh, that's probably going to be pretty hard, including Champions League and Cup games. We haven't got more than 3 games without one of those in until January. Do you know what I mean? So we've already had our grace period, is basically what I'm saying. We really could have done with winning all 4 of those opening Premier League games that were all in London and all against winnable opposition. But we fumbled the bag on 2 of them. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, we won 2 and we drew 2. We drew with Brentford and Crystal Palace. So we haven't really got now a period where it's just going to be like, okay, cool, it's going to be easy to build momentum. We can still build momentum, but we're not going to have like a straight shot at it potentially until January. There is a tricky fixture in every 3 fixtures up until January at the very least, and maybe after that as well. So like I say, what are we going to do? We're going to really have to figure out how we get people like Garnacho and Jamie Gittins more minutes whilst, in games that are important to win. But obviously it's like we need to, I don't know, it's just all getting a bit complicated, isn't it? Ultimately, what is starting to look like now is the loan signing of Facundo Buonanotte was actually a good idea, because if Cole Palmer's going to be out for 3 to 6 weeks, and we can't be relying on Tyreek George as the striker, and Mark Yu doesn't seem to be trusted. João Pedro is still going to be playing that position in most of our big games. Then that leaves us light in the centre of attack. So you can imagine that we're probably going to see a reasonable amount of Esteval Willian, Enzo Fernandez, and potentially Facundo Buonanotte in that role. You can imagine that means that one of Garnacho or Jamie Gittins is probably going to get some time on the right-hand side as well, even though generally we prefer to have left-sided players there, because we can't also just keep putting Pedro Neto on every single game because he's looking leggy. He's looking tired. So just in general, man, it's really going to come down to Maresca now to show his tactical acumen and what he can do and how best he can win games. And that might involve changing our style a little bit, man. We might have to be a little bit more diggy in because we can't afford to be losing any more players than we've already lost. And we can't just throw. This is the problem. Our depth is now like lots of 18 and 19-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? And we've got a lot of high-pressure games coming up. We all want to see Esteval Willian do well, and maybe something like this will be the making of him. It's very possible. Do you know what I mean? If Esteval Willian gets a strong run of games because the likes of Cole Palmer are missing and Pedro Neto is absolutely knackered and can't be playing every single one of these games, maybe that's possible. But maybe also what happens is an 18-year-old gets put under too much pressure and has a bad run of form or picks up an injury. So I guess this has turned out to be a bit of a negative video. And you know what, guys, I really want to know what you think about it in the comments, right? I think it's going to be a tough game against Lincoln tonight. I sort of said it yesterday. They weren't unbeaten since July. They're actually still unbeaten since August, though. Do you know what I mean? So they're on a really good run of form, second in the league, and they are feeling jubilant, and they are going to be up for it, and we're going to be at their ground as well. Do you know what I mean? So if their fans bring the thunder, then expect it to be a tough game all round. Brighton is going to be a tough game. They did a really good job against Tottenham, getting that draw out of them the other day. And, obviously Tottenham have put a lot of money and have got a great manager. And so, Brighton did really well there. Liverpool's going to be tough. And yes, we put Benfica to the sword last time, but a revitalised Benfica who now have Jose Mourinho at the helm, is going to be a tough game. It doesn't matter what team he's at, man. Every single Jose Mourinho game is a tough one because of the way he likes to play. Do you know what I mean? And he will absolutely try and take advantage of the fact that we've got a lot of youngsters. And you can imagine that will be a mind game. Sort of the whole thing will be a mind game. It'll be about Jose Mourinho getting his experienced players to try and take advantage of the fact that we're going to be fielding quite a young team, because that's what Jose Mourinho does. So yeah, I'm just looking at our next month's worth of games and all of the injuries we've got coming up. The injury to Cole Palmer, who, by the way, one little positive thing, finished 8th in the Ballon d'Or rankings, which is amazing considering he had what we would consider to be a bit of an off-season last year. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I think it was like 20 Man of the Match awards that he won, and he scored in 2 finals. So, fair play to Cole Palmer. There is a lot of controversy surrounding that because people are like, how did Harry Kane not get that high? It's absolutely mad. But fair play to Cole Palmer. We all know that he's an absolutely unbelievable player. And on his day, which he has a lot of his days. Do you know what I mean? So fair play to Cole Palmer for that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was obviously, so we are expecting to see Philip Jorgensen tonight for the Lincoln game. But what I didn't understand is that a straight red card doesn't always mean a 3-match ban. So when you get a straight red card for denying a goal scoring opportunity, that's only a 1-match ban as opposed to a straight red card for like a dangerous challenge or something that's a 3-match ban. So we actually will expect to see Sanchez back in the sticks for Brighton as well, which is one thing a little bit off. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't super excited about the idea of throwing Philip Jorgensen into the fire with all of these games coming up. So that's a small positive as well. So that's it, guys. I'm just a short one today. I'm going to, obviously I'm going to be watching the game tonight. I'm not going to do a watch along for this one, but I will be doing one for the Brighton game. So I'm just going to sit down with a beer and watch the game tonight and hope for the best. And then I will be back doing a watch along for the Brighton game. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments. How do you feel about our centre attacking depth if Cole Palmer's going to be out to 3 to 6 weeks? Do you think that Facundo Buonanotte, Enzo Fernandez and potentially Esteban Willian are good enough to carry us through this stretch of really difficult games that we're looking at? How do you feel about Enzo Maresca playing in the defence? No, but for real, man, for real. Like, how do you feel about the situation as well? I know, here's an opportunity for you guys to say what you think about the ownership, not obviously supporting Maresca and getting him a centre-back when he asked for one. But also, I would like to know what you think about Maresca not looking to repair his relationship with Renato Vega, bearing in mind he needed a centre-back and Renato Vega already had a lot of those qualities that he's looking for in the specific type that he's looking to get. And Renato Vega also really wanted to play centre-back. So it seems silly to me because there was definitely going to be a lot of game time for him. If he wanted to come back into it, it could have essentially raised his value even more and we would have had one sort of decent centre-back for this kind of situation that we're going through. So let me know what you think about all of it, guys, and get in the comments. I would love to chat to you about it. One thing I would love to say just before I sign off is the Lincoln fans, all Lincoln fans in my comments on my Lincoln video, man, absolutely love that. You guys are well up for it, and that's cool, man. You're all seem to be pretty buzzing about how well your team's doing at the moment. One guy even said he's actually like a bit annoyed about having to play Chelsea now because they're on such a good run of form and he hopes it doesn't derail their season. Lincoln are like second in the league. I think they've only lost once since the 26th of July, and that was when they went a man down. So really nice to chat to you guys, the Lincoln fans. Much appreciated. Get back in my comment section for the match review that I will be releasing later tonight after the game. Would love to know what you think about however the game unfolds. So nice one, guys. I'm going to wrap it up there, and I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.